from the grain, we look forward to Rohinton's presentation of the Gathas. ठीक है? और बार बोलें? अरे भाई हमको religion evokes more emotion and passion than logical thought. In order to change, to separate the chaff from the grain, we look forward to Rohinton's talk on the Gathas. ठीक है? निकाल लो.
May we begin? For the benefit of those who weren't here on the last occasion, I'll just give you a very brief idea of what happened. Last time we didn't in fact go to the book at all. I just gave an introductory lecture giving a brief historical background first, and then the two basic prayers, Hashem and Gatha, their meanings, the Kasti prayer meaning, with the basic fact that, and this is something that you all must remember throughout, that fortunately for us, Avesta is a part of the Indo-Iranian group of languages. And because it is part of this group of languages, we have a number of words which you will find in the Gathas, which are in modern day current usage in languages like English, Hindi, Gujarati. Now you might ask, how is English an Indo-Iranian language? Fortunately, Sir William Jones, who was a judge in Calcutta in the very, very early British time, in fact in the time of Warren Hastings, was the father of modern linguistics. He is the man who discovered that in point of fact, if you reconstruct a language, Greek, Sir William Jones, if you reconstruct a particular language, the entire Western world as we know it all go back to what was called Proto-Indo-European, which is the mother of Old Sanskrit. So, Old Sanskrit is really the oldest daughter of this reconstructed scholastic language. And Old Sanskrit's exact sister is Avesta, fortunately for us. So I had told the people who were there last time that in fact, today perhaps because of this great discovery of Sir William Jones and a lot of work done post-discovery, we are probably able to understand what the Prophet said better than it was ever understood, except when the time when he actually spoke this. And if you keep this in mind throughout, you will find certain keywords. In fact, there will be keywords throughout, which will have some kind of reflection in one of our modern languages. And or you will have certain other keywords once you get used to the lingo here, which will repeat themselves. Now, once you are able, therefore, to get into the thought process within the Avesta language, I think you will be able to truly discover what is meant here. Because the idea of these lectures is, in essence, to go through these verses, because there are about 200 odd verses here, and they are all arranged in a particular manner. They must have been arranged long after the death of the Prophet. But fortunately for us, we are able to, short of the last Gatha, tell you because of the content that what he said has come down to us almost intact. That, according to me, is a miracle by itself. The fact that somebody preached something at least 4,000 years ago, and the fact that it has come down to you without interpolation is unbelievable. In fact, it is possible only because it follows a very strict meter, and therefore very difficult to interpolate, number one. Number two, fortunately, when the Prophet spoke, there was no written language. So, you had to con by rote. And the fact that a large body of persons conned by rote or memorized these hymns made it clear that that body which went down through the ages was able to correctly tell us what exactly was stated by the Prophet. So this is the first amazing miracle according to me. The second miracle is even greater, that what he should say so many thousand years ago should be relevant today. Now, if you read the great work, the Rig Veda, in the exact sister of Avesta, and the 10th mandala in particular, because it's in 10 books, the 10th book is the last and in many ways the most interesting book. You will find that there are philosophical speculations by different seers. None of these speculations really would be something that you can try and live with today. It's very difficult. For example, you have a speculation as to who fashioned the universe. Now, different seers came out with different answers. One said Vishwakarma did this, and said it's like one huge famous architect actually fashioning it. One said Brahmanaspati did it. That is a person who, like a smiti, had a bellows and breathed into everything living. One said it was like a cosmic egg which gave birth, Hiranyagarbha. And there were speculations of this kind. Now, they are all very interesting to the scholar, but then today to try and live by something is very difficult to find in the 10th mandala. Now, as opposed to this, you will find in these gathas a person who tells you that he has been chosen for the first time. This is very interesting. He has been chosen by an almighty creator God for the first time to give a message which has hitherto been unheard from an outside source. This is the first most important thing you must realize. And therefore, the content of what he says, though the language is the same as that of the hymns used in the Rig Veda, is completely different. And the content then will tell you that what has been revealed to this man for the first time has been revealed at different points of time whenever there have been times of trouble. And this is something also that the Gathas tell. So what is interesting is that the key concepts to be found here are found in the later Judeo tradition, not earlier, then in the Christian tradition and in Islam. So you will find that anybody who says that he is a messenger as opposed to a saint or a great man or a holy man, the messenger will give you the exact picture of why you are here and where you are going and what the whole purpose of existence is. So what is interesting is, he is the first to say so. The later Judean tradition tells us pretty much the same thing. One can say that was borrowed from us, but Christianity certainly wasn't. And what Christ says in a red letter Bible is pretty much the same as what Zoroaster said much, much before, in terms of eschatology, in terms of what is to come and the purpose of being here. And again, the Quran confirms pretty much what Christ says. So on the one hand, you have the revealed religions, so to speak. On the other hand, you have the religions which speak of persons who attain very great heights spiritually, such as the Buddha, for example, or Mahavir, for example. And their visions, because they are not revelatory in nature, are very different. This is not to comment on whether their vision is better or worse, but only to tell you that any person who tells you that, look, I am only a messenger, this has not emanated from my own head, tells you pretty much the same thing. And with this short prefatory speech, I would exhort you again, if possible, to look at last time's lecture because it's been recorded. First get what the Hashem and the Gatha prayers mean. And maybe I should recap very shortly as to what they mean, because otherwise we'll never get on. What we said last time was that the Hashem Vahu prayer basically concerns itself with three concepts. Asha, which is truth. Ushta, which is happiness, which is born of light, illumination. And the concept of doing truth for its own sake. These are the three most important things. You don't do it because you are looking forward to something or you are scared of something. You do it because it's intrinsically good to be good and to be true. So, when you do it, you will get the happiness that is born of an illuminated mind. Interestingly, the colophon of the Yajashni, which is the 72 chapters which was compiled long after by priests, of which the Gathas form a part, specifically states there is no path other than the path of Asha, all others are false paths. Now this is therefore crucial to an understanding of this faith, because the emphasis upon truth and the antagonism to the lie is basic to this faith. Just as perhaps love is basic to Christianity, just as perhaps faith is basic to Judaism, here what is basic is the antagonism to the lie. And Herodotus also records in his histories that a Persian boy was taught only two things. One, how to ride a horse, and second, how to tell the truth at all times. This message has somehow or the other come down to us stragglers now of three great world empires. And that's something else that I touched upon last time. So, with this prefatory thing on Hashem vow, we move on to Yatha Virya, and then we come to the actual nitty-gritty that is contained in these great texts. The Yatha Virya prayer again divides itself into three parts. The first part I told you last time was an interplay between Ahu and Ratu, the two key words. Ahu is a person who is powerful, any person who wields power, such as a minister, for example. Now it says that just as this man is powerful and therefore people flock to him, don't forget, real power is wielded only by a Ratu, that is a person who follows the path of truth. So the first part only re-emphasizes the Hashem vow prayer. So you must remember that when you are enamored of persons because of power, and this is the old struggle in the Rig Veda, the struggle between Indra, which is power on the one hand, and ethics, Mitra and Varun on the other. The same thing, the same struggle you will find here in the opening of the Yatha Virya. The Ahu versus the Ratu. And it tells you that it's the Ratu alone that you must try and emulate because he follows the path of truth. This is point one. The second part is that you will get mental gifts. You will get happiness only if you do good deeds in this life right now for love of Almighty God. This is the second most important part. And if you remember, Ahura Mazda is coined by the prophet for the first time. Ahura is an emanation from the Rig Veda itself. It's equal to Asura. And I told you, Asura only means a lord. Mitra, Varun were described in the Rig Veda as great Asuras. So the Lord said, now there is only one Asura, no more. And that one Asura, I coin an expression for the first time to describe it. Mazda. Maz is like the English word majestic, great. And Da is creator. So, this is the only Lord who we worship now, who is the great creator. The be-all and end-all of everything. So, it is for this creator and for love of this creator that you do good deeds right now in this life. Only then will you be given mental gifts. What they are is in the Gathas. Again, another sort of reaffirmation of the first prayer. And the last is very interesting. Interplay between the words Vastarem and Drigu. A Vastarem in the old days was a herdsman, a shepherd. So a shepherd has a flock, fundamentally. So what they're trying to tell you is, when you are a shepherd and your flock contains persons who are in need, a Drigu is any person who's in need. He may be in need financially, may be in need psychologically, may be in need in a million different ways. That if you as shepherd cater to that need, the Lord as your shepherd will cater to yours. So these three parts of the Yatha Virya prayer were told to you last time. And with that, we will now progress and get straight away into the nitty-gritty of the language and the verses. At least I thought that instead of going from chapter 1, which is Yasna 28 onwards, it is better to first give you the two public sermons of Zoroaster. because there are two chapters which contain public sermons. Yasnaha 30, which is chapter number 3 in the first Aunavaiti Gatha, is what we will concentrate upon immediately, followed by the greater sermon, which is in Yasnaha 45, which is equally the third chapter of the second Gatha, the Uttavaiti Gatha. Why do I call it the greater sermon? Because in the very opening, Zoroaster lets us know that the message has now spread far and wide. So he tells people, those who are here as well as those who have come from afar. So we know therefore that it's a sermon that is now intended for mankind as he saw it. With these prefatory remarks, would all of you be kind enough to turn to page 115 of the books that you have, which is the translation of Erich Taraporwala, called either the Gathas or the Religion of Zarathustra, depending upon who is published which book. And why I have chosen this in particular over other translations is that you have a word-for-word rendering, so that it gives you some idea of what the Avestan words in each of these things mean. Now, it starts with something which is an Avestan word which is repeated constantly, vaksya. Please mark it, because it means to speak. And isento, for example, the English word wish, is. You wish for something. As we go along, we'll keep giving you clues like this. So, and the word da could have been in place of the word ta, atta, because da means two, the, through akatra. So, when it says at ta, ta means two. I will speak of those who had certain wishes themselves and who were created by God, Mazda Data. Yat you have come across in the Hashem vow prayer, if you remember. Yad Ashai, correct? So yat basically is a preposition, this. And what is important? Yat, number 7. We can go according to numbers also. Number 7. All right? Yes, sir. See, just please now concentrate, because it's going to be a little difficult. Concentrate now. The second word is ta. Have you got it? Right. What I told you was it could possibly be da, because the idea is to tell you of two spirits. The, right? In many languages world over, the word two begins with D, the expression D, da, all right? Vaksya, I told you, this is the third word, is to speak. Vacho, vaksya, etc. Vacho is the word used continuously. Isento, I told you, is wish basically. So it is translated here as those who are eager. Eager is perhaps a way of doing it, but the idea is there's some wish in the eagerness. And Mazdata is created by Mazda. Yet again, number 7, is in the Hashem vow prayer itself. Chit and Vidoshe are very important. Vidushe is something used in modern day Sanskrit, Hindi, etc. Right? So, basically it means those who are wise. Exactly. That's why I said it's in modern day usage. So, you will find already Isento, there is something in modern day usage. Vidushe, there's something in modern day usage. This is how I want you to connect. All right? And it therefore says, I will speak of two spirits. All this is meant for those who are genuine seekers. That's why he says, I wish to speak only to those who are wise. They want to move on in life. Then he says, Stauta basically is really praise, hymns of praise. So I will praise Ahura, who is God. And I will also praise Vangehush Manangao. Now we have already come across Vangehush Manangao in the Gatha Video prayer. Correct? Man, mind. Vangehush, behest, best, highest. And then the last part, hu mazdra. Remember that the preposition hu always means good. You will find it throughout. Hu jato is, for example, good living. Hu urvatat, when you are talking of a person who's whole, good. So it basically means good. Mazdra is a prayer. So when it says, I shall explain prayers that are made to Asha, which is truth, if you remember. Only then will you grow mentally, because the word urvaza is very important, the last word. Urvaza means to grow, to wax as opposed to wane. All right? Only then will you attain realms of light. Rauche bis is light. So, what the Prophet is telling you in the opening sermon is that I will talk to those who genuinely wish to know about the twin spirits which are coming in the next verses. I will weave my hymns to Almighty God and to Asha. And ultimately, the idea of all prayer is to be able to grow in realms of light. Therefore, your mind grows as it gets more and more illuminated. So this is verse 1. Now you come to verse 2. See, all this necessarily means that there's a lot of homework to do, because this is only a very introductory, preparatory thing. After you people have done this, you come back and question again, next Sunday. Now verse 2 says, again, Srauta is the word sarosh. All of you are familiar with the word sarosh. What does sarosh mean? Sarosh basically means to hear your own inner voice. Sru, conscience. The verb is sru, to hear from within. Basically it means to hear from within. So, and Gauss is simple because it is with your ears. You hear with your ears. Vahista is what I'm about to tell you, which is highest or best. You've already come across Vahista, third word. Then Avainata is consider Sucha. Again, in some modern languages, Sucha, something pure. Swach. So that you get some idea, you know. Man again, same thing, Mananga. So consider this with your mind in as pure a fashion, as clear a fashion as possible. Now very important, avarena. Varena means the faculty of choice that the Lord has given us. So, choose, very important. Vichithaya before deciding. And now comes a very beautiful line. Man for man. Na means a man. So, man for man. Man for man. Each for his own self. Tanuye, tan. What is tan? Tan is body, correct? Rohinton. Tanuye, for his own self. And Svak says his own. So each of you apply your own minds, choose for yourself. Very important. Before the great new age will be ushered in by me, because I have come here, Zarathustra, to completely revolutionize society. So, I have come, para, maze again is the same, majestic, maze, motto, big. Yango is new age. So before this great new age is ushered in, please wake up. Baudanto is wake up. Word number 19, 19. To this teaching. Sasdhyaya, number 18 is teaching. And Paiti is each one for his own self, again. So once this becomes clear and you put everything together, then you read the word forward and you read the running translation and make sense of it for yourselves. All right, so what is very important is, he is telling you here that each of us have been given moral choice. Please choose, there are two diametrically opposite paths. Choose for your own self, don't choose because somebody tells you. And do it with an open, clear mind. And please wake up to this message, otherwise there'll be trouble for you. All right, this is verse 2 now. We move on to 3. Now here are the great allegorical twin spirits who were there from the beginning of time. And before I read this verse, it is important here to note that in the Gathas, there is no devil. Please remember that. There is only God who is Sevistai. The word used is Sevistai throughout, which means Almighty. God is in complete control of everything. There is no devil. And Angra Mainyu is a creation of God, who is a mind, who has a mind like us, Mainyu, man, who has chosen wrongly. That's all it means. So, throughout here, you will find that evil is parasitical upon good. It doesn't exist by itself. Very important to learn this basic thing that he is trying to din into us over and over and over again. And you will find it throughout. That there is no embodiment of evil. The evil is within you. And evil is what? Wrong moral choice. Nothing more, nothing less. All right? So we carry on now with verse 3. At ta mainyu. Again, ta or da depending, because there are two spirits. Pauruye means in the very beginning. So at the very beginning of time, these two spirits were created. Now what is interesting is the next word. Yema means twins. So they are alike in every way. They are even given the same power of choice. One chooses correctly, one chooses incorrectly. Very important. There's no distinction. They have been created exactly alike. So Ya Yema, twins. Swafena Arsvatem. That means they had revealed themselves and they got on extremely well together. They worked beautifully together. No problem. And they were exactly alike. However, Manaicha, Vachahicha, you remember Vach, speak. Shotnoi, Shautananam, Yatha deeds. These words will repeat themselves. So, in thought, word and deed, they are Vahyo and Akem. Vahyo, good, Akem, bad. Clear distinction. Then you have a very interesting word as word 20, eres. It will keep coming. It's the same as the English word erect. Erect, straight. From straight you get truth. Is it? 21, 20, number 20. So, ascha hudangaho, who again you remember is good, who will appear constantly as a prefix, which only means good. Dango is somebody who follows a particular good philosophy. Daina, which is thought. So basically somebody who thinks correctly. Eres is upright, erect, upright, therefore true. Visyata again is the choice faculty, to choose. So what he is telling you here is, of these two, those who think correctly choose what is good, those who do not choose what is not correct or what is bad. So this verse again is beautiful because it tells you there is no meeting point between good and evil. It's a very clear cut. Most prophets speak very clearly to you. Very clear cut philosophy. He tells you also, don't forget, in every way these spirits have been created equal. They got on exceptionally well with each other also. But don't forget, one chose this way, one chose the other. And if you think in the manner which he wants you to think as the verses go along, then you will choose aright and not go astray. So this is verse 3. Now come to verse 4. This is another very, very interesting verse. Now again he says, in the very beginning, when these two minds got together, word number 5. Paurvim, again you remember we have come across the word pauru, paurvim, paur, beginning. They did something which was very interesting. Does they means they in turn created something. What did they create? They created life, Gaimcha. Gaim appears all the time. Gaia, for example, in the word in Greek also, means nothing other than earth or the goddess of earth. Same meaning. So Gaia is basically earth, life. And Ajaitim becomes even more important. Jaitim is what? Jivanu. To live. Ajay means to oppose what is living. So, what they're telling you here is, what did they do? When they got together, they created life and its destruction. Because when you oppose life, what do? You destroy. So, the translation not life is unhappy. Number 12. There is opposition to life, which means destruction. So what did they do when they got together? They created life and they created a destruction of life. And thus will life's purpose be fulfilled. The next words are very, very important. Apemem is the key word. Number 17. Purpose. There is a purpose now. And that purpose is very, very clear. The worst to those who choose wrongly, and to those who are ashaune, that is persons who live by truth, vahistam mano, which we have come across repeatedly, equally in the Gatha prayer. So, this verse again tells you very beautifully that the two spirits have got together. And what did they do from the very beginning? One fostered life, one destroyed life. And you must choose aright, because if you choose alongside the destroyer, you in turn will get destroyed. It is telling you very clearly that the worst alone will come to you. And the worst what? Mentally. Everything here is mental, it's very important. So you will be in grave danger mentally as opposed to somebody who lives by truth. Then 5. Again a reaffirmation. Of these spirits, you see, spirit again is a loose translation, it's like a mind. Any mind which is not encaged in a human body, it's a mind, the thought faculty. So again, varta, varan, choose, choice. Word number 3. So of these Maindiva spirits did choose. Again, Drigva is somebody who chooses something which is false. Drigva means false, as opposed to true. Achista, worst. 5 and 6. And Varesyo means doing. So therefore, what did they do? They did the worst, since they chose wrongly, worst deeds. But the Holy Spirit, who is the Spenista Mainyu, because throughout you will find Spenta and Angra Mainyu. These are the opposing Mainyus. They are described throughout the Gathas as Spenta, beneficial, and Angra, that which opposes life. For Angra, again, you can perhaps go to the English word anger, because Aishma really means anger. But the idea generally that is conveyed is that somebody is doing something which is nasty as opposed to something good. And then the next line say, yes, Rausdisteng Asheno Vaste. Rausdisteng means strong, extremely strong. Asheno Vaste, light imperishable. And whoso would please Almighty God, Aura. Very important, again, the emphasis is on deeds throughout. Haityais only means truth. Shautnais, again, is Shautananam. Yatha Veryopren. Word number 20. So therefore, through deeds of truth, he chooses Almighty God, or the way to God. Verse 6. Now we come down to those who are living. Daivas. Who are those who are Daivas? Persons who believe in many gods. So this again is strictly monotheistic. The faith is strictly monotheistic. All the old gods have been thrown over. So it says, Eres again appears, word number 3 in 30.6. Erect, upright. So, Noit, again, Noit is so obvious. Correct? Noit means no. Same English, if you remove IT, it is no. Yes. So, of these two, those who worship many gods, now he is going down to people who are probably members of the old faith, because he's come as a revolutionary, he's throwing it over. So those who worship many gods, and in the Rig Veda, if you remember, there were nature gods basically, together with one or two human beings who perhaps became apotheized as they went down the line, Indra for example. So he says, if you worship, and those who worship many gods, delude themselves. Debaumma is a very important word. Word number 10. Yeah, delude. And you delude yourself the moment you are in doubt. Again, very important. Peres manning really means to keep disputing. Manning is again mind. Peres is to dispute. Word number 11. And thus they chose. You see, the emphasis throughout is whatever you do wrong, you have done for yourself. You have chosen. Yat varenata, again, varan. Word number 15, 1-5. What did you choose? Achista. It's come now for the third or fourth time already. Worst. Man, mind. And now you come to the word Aishma, which is word number 19. Anger, wrath. This is a very beautiful thing. They are rushing to their own destruction. All these angry people. Dvarenta means to rush. And again in word 23 you have an English word. Banayan, binful. Binful. Ahum maretano. Maretano is like our first man, Gayo Maretan. Why was he called Gayo Maretan? Because he is life that is doomed to death. Gayo means life. Marwanu, tan, person. So a person who is born to die. So all of us are Maretans, mortals. Same English word. So far, so good, or any problems? All right. We move on. 7.
Just one question.
Yeah.
Does he say you dispute the presence of one God you are born to die? Or is
No, no. No, there's no connection. What it says is, we are all born to die. Every one of us, whether we are good or bad, we are all Maretan. Every one of us. What will happen after we die is going to come, which is very important. There is absolutely no connection. Everyone will die, but how you are to conduct yourself on earth is the whole idea in these hymns. And where you are going and why you are going is all going to come. Then comes verse 7. Now, the third word is Shatra. Again, it repeats itself all the time throughout in the Gathas. The same word in Yatha Overio. Shatrem cha aurai. You remember? Last part. Correct? Shatra only means strength, power. Word number 3 in verse 7. It will come repeatedly. So what it tells you is, the moment you live correctly, what will come to you, that's the last part. This is like a reaffirmation of the Yatha prayer. The Lord's own strength will come and succor you. You see? So, it says, unto such shall come Shatra, Vahumana, and Asha. These are all considered as archangels in later Zoroastrianism. All considered Yazatas. The embodiment of truth, Asha. The embodiment of the highest that the mind can attain, Bahumana. And then Shatra. So all three of them you draw to yourself when you live along the path of truth. And this is very interesting. Kerpem, the word kerpem, number 10. Corpus. The English word corpus. Body. Is it? So, at kerpem, uttayuitis. Now, please mark the word uttayuitis, which is word number 11. It will again repeat itself throughout the Gathas. Uttayuiti basically means to renew. So, it will say, and it's a beautiful translation here. The idea is to continually, therefore, renew yourself. That is to progress. So, continued progress of bodies like us will Almighty grant. Now, Almighty again is a key word, which you must never forget. Number 13. So far, there are 4 or 5 key words that have occurred. Asha, truth. Vahumana, highest mind. Shatra, the Lord's strength. 4th is Almighty. Again, mighty is man. Is right. So to think aright. Mighty. You see, all of these are regarded as archangels because when a conference in heaven takes place, interestingly enough, in the second chapter of the Avnavat Gatha, that is chapter 29, which we'll come to, each of these is spoken to by God as an embodiment of truth, so they are regarded as angels in themselves. So the Lord speaks to Asha, tells Asha to find somebody because the soul of earth is crying away and saying, listen, there is rapine, terror, hell going on here. Send us a savior. So God has a conference in heaven and talks to Asha, who's an archangel, and says, come on, I have appointed you to look after these people. What are you doing? And Asha replies saying, look, I am doing my best, but I don't find anybody that they seem to want. So the Lord then turns to Vahumana, number 2, again as an embodiment of the highest that a mind can have. And Vahumana turns around and says, yes, I have found somebody. And that somebody is Zoroaster. And having found Zoroaster, we will send him down in order to patch up everything that's going wrong. And the earth shouts back and says, what is this? You have sent me some cowardly little human being. I am not asking for this. I am asking for some strong person to deal with all these guys. And finally, the earth realizes that it is he alone who will now have this great reformation through word of mouth, and then accepts it. This great word of mouth. You see? So that Zoroaster is sent down on earth for nothing more and nothing less than a complete upheaval of what has happened. Now, all this was only an answer to your question, because these are all treated as divinities on their own, in at least this chapter. No, they are very different. I tell you how they are different. They are different because Vahumana is the highest that the mind can achieve. How do you achieve it? Means and ends. Means and ends. Vahumana is the end. Armaita is the means. Means. So we come back now to verse 7. We stopped at this continuous progress of the corpus, Kerpem. Does right-mindedness grant? Armaita is right-mindedness. And then Aisham Toya Angat. Angat is will, future. Now what is interesting is the word Ayanga, number 20. Ayanga is like the English word iron, metal. Adanais is ordeal. And you remember the word Pauru, it's come again in number 22, first. So, it tells you that when you follow the path of Asha, when you follow the path of right-mindedness, you are going to go through one hell of an ordeal, which is like the ordeal or the molten metal test as it was known then. So you will actually go through hell before you ultimately emerge and get all these great gifts. So this is a very important verse. Yes. So the path of Asha is strewn with boulders and hell along it, is what they are telling you here. Then 30.8. Now this is a retribution verse. 8, number 8, page 122. And here, again, the key word is kaina, number 5. The word is retribution. It means retribution. Retribution. As in? Yes. Retribution means you get back what you have given. The bad that you have given. Therefore, you retribute. And what do you retribute for? Ainangam, number 7. For your violence. Ainanga means basically somebody who's violent. You remember when we dealt with it last time, it is part of the Kemna Mazda prayer. Just turn to it, 46.7. Page 246. And see word number 11 in the Kemna Mazda prayer. Ainange. Got it? Everybody got it? Yeah. You remember when we did the Kemna Mazda? So when you are threatened with violence, what do you do? Same thought here. All right. So retribution will come to those for their violent deeds. And when that happens, when God gives them enough suffering so that some degree of self-realization occurs, only then will Mazda's law be clearly revealed to them. Next two lines. At Mazda taibyo kshatrem. Then will the strength of Almighty God be revealed to them. And Vahumana, in turn. Vahumananga Vaividaite. Revealed. Then again we come to the word saste, which we've come across earlier, number 16, teaching. And notice the word zastayo, number 21, hands. Zastaya means hands. The very opening verse of the Gathas speaks of Zoroaster stretching out his hands with humility so that he can receive something from above. Ustano zastaya rafedraya. So, it's beautifully put. What do we do? When all this takes place, namely when retribution comes and the person realizes he's gone wrong, having been violent, finally, the parasitical part of evil will be delivered up unto what is good. So evil is only parasitical and will never last, because ultimately the Lord gives enough in terms of our mind being able to realize it has gone wrong and then choose a right. That idea will come later. Then 30.9. You see, they shall, no, they meaning those who have gone wrong will deliver themselves up to truth. Themselves up. Now comes the idea again of a revolution taking place. The key word here is kere nauna and fareshem or rather ferashem. Now, word number 8, if you see number 8 in 30.9, ferashem, the same as the English word fresh. Just put fresh down there. Fresh. What is the idea of fresh here in this context? To make new, fresh, renew. So, he says, I am about to bring about a revolution which will make things completely new. And why will they make things new? Because he will make each one of us act like God. Mazdascha ahuranno. Very interesting. Now many have taken this verse and completely mistranslated it and said, this shows that there were many Mazdas and many Ahuras. Because this is plural. Is it? So the idea is something very different. That if you are able to bring about a revolution just now, you will yourself be acting like God. That's the idea. So each one of us will be a little aura and a little Mazda. Then I moyastra barana ashata. Moyastra is companionship. So when you live with truth as your companion, Asha is truth, there will never be a problem because you will become clear in your mind as you go along the path of truth. The word clear is very important. Hatra, number 20. And the word 24 also you will find all the time. Chistis. Chisti is translated as understanding, wisdom. Here it means understanding. Same meaning as given to the great saint Salim Chisti. Number 24. And Maitha in number 26 means doubt. What? No, I don't agree. I don't agree at all. No. That is what Taraporwala thinks. Because he has to explain what Bartholomew and other Christians, Western scholars, attacked this verse about. The attack on the verse was that who says this is monotheistic? There are many Mazdas and many Auras. You see? So the Western scholars attacked you. And Taraporwala tried to offer an explanation saying when we are talking about many gods in plural, Mazdas and Auras, what we mean is the seven immortals. According to me, what I told you was that when each one of us attempts to make the world fresh, renewed, new, then each of us acts like a mini god. Yes. Sorry? Yes, because of your own individual mind. You see? So it's trying to tell you that, look, there will be many little gods who think like Aura Mazda.
Where the person is actually acting like God.
You see, he's never, no, in the Yathavari of prayer, nobody acts like God.
The shepherd story that you said.
Yeah, perhaps, because there you are not acting like God, but what you are doing is in your own small way, right? Helping somebody in need. God's strength will come to you. This is a little different. This is telling you that, look, each one of you has to behave like a mini Aura Mazda in order to ultimately attain a complete revolution here on earth. The idea is you must be on God's side, not on the side of choosing differently or choosing wrong. So it's an obscure verse, but it.
One understands this. But
Yeah.
what about the question of when power gets to your head? You know, each of you think you're a god.
Then that's very simple.
Then you're not a god. Then you're
No, very simple. You see, you don't think you are a god. You think like God. There's a big difference. Very big difference. If you think you are God, you are a nut of the first order. Okay? Now, you are not exhorted to be a nut. You have to think like God. And be positive. Yes. So the idea basically is only to tell you that, look, it's a very difficult thing that I am trying to do, help me. By each of you trying to emulate what God is. That seems to be the sense of the verse, as I see it. I certainly don't see it as many gods, because throughout the Gathas you will find everything thrown over and there is only one creator God, and he makes it clear. No question of anybody else. In fact, this goes contra, what the Western scholars said is, completely contra to his railing against the Daivas all the time. Because you will find throughout, Daivas are persons who is fighting against continuously. Who are Daivas? People who believe in many gods, the old faith. Then 10. Now the word Druj in 10, number 4, again is a key word that comes throughout. Druj only means a liar. Liar, L-I-A-R. As opposed to Asha, somebody who is truthful. Okay? Now this again is a very, very beautiful verse and tells you how evil is only parasitical in nature. Again, what does it tell you? It tells you that when ultimately a greater force, that is God, destroys the short-lived triumph of persons who are liars, at that point they will in fact attain their own innermost desire. Beautiful. Sorry? I haven't explained yet. Let me finish. All right? They will themselves attain their own innermost desire. So, when the Lord brings retribution down upon them hard, and they realize they have gone wrong, they will realize ultimately that, look, this is what we wanted to do anyway from the very beginning. Why? Because everybody wants a good reputation. And that's the last line. You see the last line? Continuously strive after a good name. So, what they are telling you is that when God brings this retribution upon people who have not lived by the path of truth, let's put it that way, and they have been victorious in doing so, as we see, continuously, until the Lord brings it down upon them, after they die, right? Then they will themselves attain their innermost desire, which is that, look, I have gone wrong, and my name, which is most important to me, should be upheld and not besmirched.
Is he instilling the fear of God?
No. What I think he is doing is, there's no fear here. Again, throughout, what he tells you is that, look, in fact, what is going to happen to you in the hereafter is very clear. He himself says, I don't know what's going to happen now. But in the hereafter, it is very clear, and the judgment verses come much later. Now, to just give you a short idea of what the judgment verses are. Judgment verses are that when you die, your own mind will chide you, because there will be a complete playback of your life to you. And when you see what you have done wrong, your own judgment faculty judges you, which is why there's no fear. You judge yourself. And when you judge yourself, you realize, oh, I have gone wrong here, I've gone wrong here, I've gone wrong here, I've gone wrong here. Yes. And depending on how you have judged yourself, you will either move on to Garodeman or slip to Drujodeman. Now, Garodeman is what? The domain, abode of Gavanu, song, happiness. Your next world is a happy, good world. Or it is a reformatory world, where you slip down into Drujodeman, the abode of the lie, as opposed to truth. Druj is lie, which means an unreal world, because the lie is only parasitical upon truth. So you will slip to that unreal world in which the Lord's judgment will be upon you, in the sense of your having judged yourself, and the necessary suffering will be given to you for you to come to a certain self-realization. All this is coming.
But then this is not of your choice.
I'm sorry?
This is not of your choice. You would not choose to see.
You choose, because you have seen where you have gone wrong, right? You have seen when that playback is given to you that you have gone wrong here. I'm sorry? No, you see, there's another interesting verse where he says, the Ratu, that is, I am appointed Ratu, Zoroaster's appointed Ratu, will judge on earth very strictly looking at the merits as well as the demerits of the person. All right. So everything is put in the scales. Ultimately, you judge yourself in the sense that you know you've gone wrong. All right. The necessary amount of suffering to be put upon you is in the Lord's hands. Yes. The idea again is positive. The idea is not to punish you. Idea is to reform you. Very important. And all that is coming just now. Because we finished verse 10, correct? Verse 11 is that idea. Yes.
Word translation.
No, the word translations are simple. The key word is druch. Number 4, correct? Skendos Payathaya is destruction of their victory. Victory, because these are all people who on earth have gone wrong and are victorious. They've done very well on earth. Done brilliantly on earth. And when finally the necessary degree of suffering is put on them, retribution, and when they lift themselves then up into the realms of God and Vahumano, etc., they will realize not only that they have gone wrong, but ultimately their innermost desire will be fulfilled, that is, their reputation will stand intact. This is the idea of this verse. All this happens only after you die. Only after you die. Because the whole idea here is, you are victorious, Spayathaya. Where are you victorious? Here. Perfect. But if it doesn't, you'll correct yourself later. Yes. But what is important is that at least it certainly comes in the hereafter. That's what is important.
The reformation is for an afterlife.
And the afterlife is again very clear. You go into Garo Deman, Drujya Deman, until a final cut-off point, which is the ultimate judgment day, which is here for the first time. And then a fraso kereti, a resurrection. Yes.
So your reincarnation is reincarnation.
No, you see, reincarnation is something you will not find in any revealed religion. See, be clear now. Reincarnation you will find mooted first in Jainism. And it is correct that it should be in Jainism because Jainism is atheistic. You see, atheistic. It does not believe in God. It gives you n number of reasons as to why God does not exist. All right. Now, reincarnation is like snakes and ladders in the Jain reincarnation sense. Reincarnation, again, I must warn you, is used in different senses in different faiths. In the Jain faith, from an amoeba, you can go all the way up to being a human being. All right. Hence, their great concentration on being good to everything that is living. Because you might well have been that thing which you have stamped upon. Okay. So, the Jain faith tells you very clearly that look, everything here is by chance. There is no God, there is no purpose, there is no plan. The best thing is to get out of this horrible mess. Right? And this horrible mess is what? This constant birth, rebirth, rebirth, rebirth. And you can spend some 84,000 lives becoming human and slip down the scale and become an amoeba again. And spend another 84,000. So 1,000 lakhs, whatever, you know. It's not bad or good. It's not bad or good. It is just that it is a lower form of life. It's a form which doesn't have a brain. Doesn't have a brain. You see? So obviously as an amoeba you don't make a choice. Right? So when you die as an amoeba, somebody else makes a choice. That's the first problem. There are many problems with this. And, I'm sorry? That's what I'm coming to, if you don't mind. It's a difficult subject. All right. Little patience. Little patience. Little patience. So, it is compatible first with an atheistic faith. You must never forget. It creeps its way into Buddhism, which again deals with it differently, Hinduism, which deals with it completely differently. But the original idea is an idea compatible with no God, no purpose. And it's not far to seek why, because when you reincarnate, there are two problems as I see it. One is you have billions and billions of planets in this universe. Why should you reincarnate only here? It's an ostrich-like thing, is it? That you keep coming back only here. Why can't you go somewhere else? And the second and more important thing, you don't know why you are here. Now, you don't know why suddenly you become a cat, a dog, or an amoeba. Correct? Whereas, when you are dead, you continue after you are dead exactly as you are, and you know exactly why you are in Drujodaman. The idea being that Drujodaman is something reformatory. Now, no, just 1 minute. So obviously, therefore, reincarnation as the Jains see it is totally opposed to this vision, because this vision is a vision which has a God, which has a purpose, and which in accord with that purpose says that you are going to continue as you throughout. The thread of you is never lost. You will never become an amoeba. Okay? So, reincarnation in the Jain sense is obviously not here and cannot be here. It will be antithetical to everything here. Antithetical, totally. Equally, reincarnation in the Hindu sense. Suppose you say that I am going to reincarnate but only into another human being, deformed, whatever, is equally not compatible with this philosophy and would be very difficult to be compatible with the yoga philosophy, because the Hindu schools are 6 schools. Again, you have an old atheistic school which is Sankhya. Later Sankhya becomes theistic. But old Sankhya, reincarnation will be completely compatible. New Sankhya, difficult. Yoga, completely impossible, because yoga believes in Ishwar, one God. See? So, reincarnation is something which you have to be very difficult, it's a difficult subject. But all I can tell you is, no revealed religion, there is no person who says, I have come as a messenger from one creator God, will tell you there is reincarnation. Jesus doesn't tell you. None of the Jewish prophets tell you. Muhammad doesn't tell you. All right? So please remember, you have on the one hand these revealed religions, where there is one creator God, there is a purpose, you have been born here with a purpose, and you never lose your identity at any stage. You see, an animal, in fact, the whole purpose of worshipping fire, now don't forget, when we are called fire worshippers, we worship fire, yes, because our Atas Nyaya says, Atro Ahure Masdav Putra. Putra is son of. All right? But you worship it not as an embodiment of God, but as an embodiment of truth. All right? And one of the reasons, I heard Ali Jafri speak here many, many years ago. And one of the interesting things he said about a fire is, that a fire is like conscience. Why is it like conscience? A human being can light it, kindle it, and put it out. An animal cannot light it, cannot kindle it, cannot put it out. That's the fundamental distinction between the human creation and the animal creation. That the animal creation goes by instinct. The human creation is given something beyond instinct, choice. You see? And therefore, the concentration of all the revealed religions is only on the human. Because the entire idea is to create a revolution which is moral in nature. And a moral revolution has very little to do with animal life. Yeah. Now, I take it we have finished with verse 10. And I take it that at least prima facie I have answered reincarnation. Very difficult to get into. All right? Requires much, much more time and lectures of a different order. But it's enough to say that we do not seem to speak about it at all. Neither for nor against. Number one. Number two, since you have asked me, please go to verse 49.11, page 287. Because I must tell you the opposite view also. 11, page 287. Dastur Khurshid Dabu seems to think that from this verse we believe in reincarnation. Now let's read it. All right. It says, At dus shatreng, that means a bad ruler. Dus shyotaning, person who does bad deeds. Dus vachango, bad words. Dus daining, daina is your own philosophy, bad philosophy. Dus man, again bad mind. Dregvato, somebody who's evil generally. Akais, again somebody who's evil. Svarethais, now come the keywords. Paiti urvano yenti. Drujjo demane haitya anen astayo. Now what does this mean? Paiti means all. Just note the word all because it occurs many times throughout the Gathas. All. It doesn't mean back. It's translated here as back. The first difficulty is the translation. Because back is wrong. Wrong, completely wrong. Because when you see the word paiti in every other context, it will only mean all, not back. Take that from me for the moment. All right. Now, urva is your own soul. Okay, what lives? Your mind that lives after you die. Yenti is to come. Now, if you mistranslate paiti, it will say urvas have come back. Correct? Back. No, but again, even if you come back, we assume you come back. Where have you come back? Not to earth. You've gone to Drujodeman. Next line. You have not come back here. You have not come back to Gava Azi, which is earth. You have gone to Drujodeman. Haitya Anenastai. Now, according to me, first and foremost, you have mistranslated paiti. Second, you have missed the import of the words Drujodeman. Completely. And if these two things are correct, that's right. Whatever else Drujodeman is not earth. Because earth is Ranyos Keretim in the Gathas. Joy-giving. The earth is not a bad abode. It's not a horrible place. It's a fabulous place. In the Gathas throughout you will find. Gava Azi means it produces for you in abundance. Azi is pregnant, gives to you in abundance. And it is Ranyos Keretim. These two words you will find throughout the Gathas. Joy-giving. So Drujodeman can never mean earth. If this goes, out goes reincarnation, because there's nothing else said that any scholar has found. Number one. However, speaking for myself, if you want to ground reincarnation, you can ground it somewhere else, but nobody's come up with this yet. How come you had that conference in heaven in Yasna 29 that I spoke about? And Vahumana found, yes, Zoroaster has already listened to what we have said. Did he exist earlier? And where did he exist? All big question marks. Just half a second. No, but therefore, it is possible, suppose you want to ground reincarnation. It is possible, this is all I say. Beyond that, very difficult. To say that logically, as an extension of what happened in Yasna 29, Vahumana said, yes, Zoroaster has already listened to our commands. We will appoint him now. The appoint means he has to be born first, right? So how has he listened to our commands? Exactly. But I'm saying this is the only other possible, as I see it, having studied this closely, only other possible ground for saying that there is reincarnation. There's no third ground that I have found yet. And this is my own ground, by the way. No scholar has said no. Where do you suddenly get Zoroaster and Vahumana talking about Zoroaster before he's coming? Or Vahumana, like God, is all-seeing. There's no time. Time itself is a creation. Time itself is a creation. We view everything within time, correct? If time is not a creation, then you've already seen what he's already seen what is. Yeah. So no, there are so many different viewpoints, but I'm only giving you one. So I'm saying this, according to me, 49.11 goes out for the two reasons I have given. 29 comes in, if at all, if number one, Vahumana is bound by time first. And number two, the reason you gave, which is a very good reason, that if he did exist, then he could have existed elsewhere. He didn't have existed. Not the ostrich thing, with which reincarnation is constantly bombarded with. Not possibility, inevitability. Inevitability. No. Ultimately, there's a cutoff, judgment day. It will never come in anybody's lifetime, at least here, but it will come at some point. Even Jesus said, when he was asked about the cutoff day, I don't know when it's going to come, only the Almighty knows. I don't know. So, it will come on a certain day. By that cutoff day, Hitler, Stalin and Mao will also have been resurrected. To put things in complete relief, does it? Mass murderers and Genghis Khan, for mass murderers, will, according to our religion at least, not have the wages of sin, which is death, which is there in other religions. And which is in accordance with our Bundaishan. Because the Bundaishan, which is our creation text, so to speak, and which is probably takes after the old Damdat Nask, which was the creation text, specifically states that for 3 days and nights, every soul will go through milk, which will feel like molten metal to Hitler and company, but will feel warm and nice to everybody else. So that they expiate themselves of whatever rubbish is left in them. Because ultimately, after judgment day, after the cutoff, there can never be violence. There can only be complete selflessness, everybody existing for everybody else. Otherwise, you can't coexist. Death is necessary only because today you cannot coexist.
So we believe in expiation of sin.
Absolutely. Now, having digressed, let's come back to 11. Now, 11 is beautiful because 11 again is a lovely judgment verse. Note the word Urvata, number 3. Urvata will again repeatedly occur. It means law, laws. All right. The rest is self-explanatory. Mazda, Dadat, again create. You remember? Dadat has again come several times. Masyango is what? A man again. Now what is interesting is, if we understand these laws which God has ordained, Omen, what are these laws? Happiness comes to you or pain comes to you, depending on what you do. And what is important is, God is responsible for this pain. There's no independent devil here. So the key words are Sviti and Niti. Happiness, pain. And what is the happiness? What is the pain? It's further fleshed out. Age-long punishment is for followers of untruth. Not forever and ever. Age-long. And upward progress for those who follow truth. So that ultimately you become in the state of what the great prophet says, Hu Urva Tat. Because don't forget, and you'll find these concepts continuously. And they are twin concepts, they go together. Hu Urva Tat Amere Tat. Tat is the same Sanskrit word, the state of being. The fact that you are, I am. Alright? Who is whole good, completely good. No iota of evil in you. Urva is your soul. what your own mind is just now. So only when you are completely good, in a state of being completely good, hu urva tat, will death be removed. Amere tat. What is amere tat? Marvanu jase. Amer. You will become immortal. You will become immortal. And the two go together. And you will find these twin concepts continuously through the Gatha. So first you have to reach a stage of hu urva. Unless you are hu urva, you can't coexist peacefully with each other. So, sorry? It'll come repeatedly. It's there repeatedly in every other. Now we'll read Yasna 45, it will be there. Because the great sermon. You know? Now see, we've moved very slowly today, but purposely, because it becomes otherwise very difficult, you know. I know, there's too much. Now, I think we should stop today. What do you think? Because the great sermon will take too much time again. And I don't think you will be fresh. Now you are free to ask questions, and what I suggest is that, just half a second. You are free to ask questions. And when I come next time, I want informed questions. Okay? Because I want all of you now to reread this in the view of what I have told. Then only, having done homework, will you really understand and come to some nitty-gritty, after which then we can progress faster. Yes?
Please use the mic to ask questions and then the answers so that it's recorded.
Yes?
This concept of retribution, if it is going to happen after life, then where is retribution? We don't see it happening.
Yes.
So
there are
that's
many
why,
things. I'm sorry, please complete the question.
So that's why maybe evil continues,
Yes.
not knowing that there will be retribution.
Yeah.
So how does this match with the concept of making us convinced that evil deeds, thoughts and words will lead to retribution? Because today people have no fear of
Right.
retribution.
Good question. You finished the question?
Yes, sir.
Good question. All right. Now, the Zoroastrian answer, there are many answers given to this question by many world religions, and they're all different. The Zoroastrian answer to the question is that having first read or having first listened to what the Prophet has to say, either you believe or you do not believe. Because don't forget, ultimately, things here are not a matter of proof, they're a matter of belief. First most important thing. The belief is rational belief. Now, how do we believe, for example, or how do we prove that there is God? Take the most basic thing. You are taught continuously that, look, there is Ahura Mazda, there is no other Ahura. How do we know there is Ahura Mazda? Fundamentally, it's a matter of belief. But the belief is also based on reason. How is it based on reason? You first see what is the alternative to God. As an example. Alternative to God may be many gods, maybe no gods, maybe chaos. Correct? The giants play up the fact that there may be many gods. Hence there's so much chaos, on earth. But that is compatible again only with a faith which sees nothing but negativity here and negativity in the hereafter. So, ultimately, if you are to base God on reason, how would you base God on reason? You would say, look, all of us know that motor cars exist, correct? Right? All of us know that motor cars are manufactured. We all know that there are a million parts which go into a motor car. Now, who's made that car? Who made those parts? And how does it run? At least we are sure that over a period of time is the human mind that has done all this. So in short, whenever there is something which follows a certain law, what does the motor car follow? It follows laws that are peculiar to it so that it can move. Correct? The moment you follow a certain law, there has to be a lawgiver. If there's no lawgiver, there's no law. Now the question is this: is there any law in the universe? And do we follow any such law? According to me, it's an obvious question and an equally obvious answer. How is the Earth exactly 92 odd million miles away from the sun, so as to sustain life as we know it? We know that life as we know it, at least, cannot be sustained either on Mars or Venus, which are our adjoining planets. Why? It's either too hot or too cold. Right? So there's some mind applied to the fact that life as we know it has to exist only within this parameter of temperature. One. Second, why is the Earth tilted? It could be straight. If it was straight on its axis, there'd be no seasons. So somebody has thought, there is a mind which has been applied to tilting it exactly like this, so that it follows a regular path and a regular law. Why does it take exactly 365 and a quarter days to go around the sun? Why not 366 once? Why not 700 the other time? Why does it revolve around itself for exactly 24 hours? Why is there this tilt? It follows certain laws. If it follows certain laws, there must be a lawgiver. Rational. Correct? Now, what Zoroaster is telling you is that I am not necessarily telling you that it is rational to believe what I say. I am telling you something very different. I am telling you that in fact I have seen the great Creator God through my mind's eye. You remember? The most important verse in the Gathas is Yasna 45.8. Please note it. Either you believe that or you don't believe that. It says, I have seen Almighty God, this one great Creator God, with my mind's eye. Obviously, you can't see it with your physical eye. Just as Arjun could not see God in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 11. It took a special eye to see it. Yeah. So, with his mind's eye, he has already seen this great Creator God who reveals all this to him. That's the second thing. It's not from his mind that he's telling you that there is Drujo Deman, there is Garo Deman, there is a Frasho Kereti after a cut-off judgment day. This is all revealed to him by one great Creator God. Now, these are all matters of belief, ultimately. And what is important is that the message given, again, reinforces the belief. Because the message given is what would appeal universally to every human being. You see, if a message given is either appeals to a small segment or to segments here and there, may not necessarily be valid. See, here it is down the line. So both from the message as well as the fact that he states that I have seen an all-creator God, I am the first appointed by him to tell you things your mind will never tell you. Either you believe these things or you don't. And that's where ultimately the buck stops. Yes? Yes. No. No. What he says is, with my mind's eye, I have perceived this great power. Yes. Perceived is a much better way of putting it. Because nobody can see God. God is, as stated in the Gathas in another verse, all-pervading.
When you first mentioned retribution here in 30.8, for the first awareness of retribution,
yes,
and you're opening your hands and to receive whatever. Can you also, if you made a choice in your mind and heart to say it, can you ask for retribution here on earth before you go out?
You see, you ask for whatever you want. It's in your hands entirely. And the way out on earth is for you to first realize where you have gone wrong.
Yes. So,
1 minute. Followed with something genuine. You see, not only do you give up where you have gone wrong, you try and also make amends. Both. And if you make a genuine effort, you will be judged, I'm sure, accordingly.
because a lot of really good people or a lot of really serious people religiously ill before they die.
Yes.
By and large, people like Swami Vivekananda.
No, could be the Buddha. You don't need to go beyond.
Yeah. So
He died of eating infected pork, for example.
would you say that if you ask, I'm just conjecturing, would that be in a sense like a retribution that you
No,
go to a warm or
no.
Yeah.
Punishment is mental, never physical. Please remember. First most important thing. Punishment is here because what has to be rectified is here. Yes. Anything else?
You said that after that, you're supposed to figure out whether you reflect upon what you did right or wrong. So if the entire life you could not figure out what was wrong, what is it that after that is supposed to give you the power to figure out that?
Wait and see.
Sorry?
Wait and see.
Last question.
Yeah.
Would you consider this to be something like a bank balance where you have good deeds and bad deeds?
No. I'll tell you why not.
Balance them out?
No. Because that would lead to a charter of doing evil. You see, what would happen is, you always say my balance is 1 up. Now I've got 5 up in the balance, so do 4 bad deeds. And then again I'm 1 up. No, not at all. Yeah, exactly. Not at all, no. Okay. Next time, next Sunday. Huh? Thank you. We haven't made much progress, I must tell you. Huh? But I suppose we will have to be slow. Huh? We'll have to be slow. I don't know. Let's see. For next week, please, all of you, I exhort all of you, please read very carefully. Huh? And don't now restrict yourself to Yasna 30. You've started now. All right. Read 45 next. Please read. Now with this background, read 45 next. It will make much more sense to you. So that when we come next time and speak about 45, we can progress a little. Thank you.
Just 1 minute. Can we take some? Just please be seated. Please be seated. I just want to take some pictures. Nita, this, Marita, this.
That is your care progressing.
Right there, we are